Hello my friends, I'm 1 Hour Game Reviews, and I played God of War for 2 hours to see if it was just as good as I remember it. My expectations for this game were very simple. I would be looking for any reason to give this game any score less than a perfect 10 out of 10. I started a new game and was met with a very smooth transition into one of the strongest opening cinematic sequences gaming has ever seen. This game's biggest accomplishment is its masterful storytelling. I know immediately that Kratos remarried, had a kid, and is now giving his wife her last rites in an emotional and captivating scene. Through a cinematic shot, I know that his kid is intimidated by his father, as most are, as Kratos is a very naturally scary dude. Even if we know absolutely nothing about what happened in the previous games, we get a large amount of information with absolutely no narration. The scene demonstrates a clear mastery in writing and storytelling and immediately hooks the player into the story. It was perfectly done. To top that off, the game wastes no time in beginning the action, as Kratos smoothly transitions the narrative and tells his son to demonstrate the skills that his mother has taught him. We go through a tutorial dungeon and can actually explore a little bit away from the main path, which may seem odd to the narrative, but Atreus points out this oddity, keeping us completely immersed as Kratos simply doesn't explain himself, as many fathers so frustratingly do. This trend is seen throughout the game. As you explore the open world, the story continues to tell itself, developing these characters as you do. We get our first mini-boss to make sure we have the skills for the epic fight that comes next. It's actually very good game design too, because there's a very sharp spike in difficulty, and the moment would be pretty much ruined if the player is unable to scrape by.
Fine. My turn.
And what a fight this is. This stranger, who clearly must also be a god, goes toe-to-toe with Kratos, and I constantly find myself on the edge of my seat as an epic battle ensues. My blocks and parries are emphasized in the animations, making the fight naturally cinematic throughout as Kratos is pushed to his limits. The most impressive part is that the vast majority of players who see this fight for the first time all scrape through for the win, making any fight balanced so that the players win and also feel challenged, much less pushed to the edge, is very difficult, and that is exactly what God of War does here, making the gameplay experience match the narrative perfectly. That's pretty much where my first hour ended, but I was having fun and I wanted to keep going, so I did. After a little while longer, I got to the fight I remember caused me to change my difficulty in my first playthrough from hard to normal. And even this time, I still died twice on normal. This fight does a very useful thing and helps the player decide which difficulty to play on for the rest of the game. It's really good game design to have a fight like this here after we've already had the epic battle with the stranger, because that battle was too epic to spend worrying about game mechanics like difficulty. As I continue through the game, the thought in the back of my mind is, where can I find a visual spectacle to showcase this game's graphics? That thought quickly became, which one do I focus on, as wallpaper-worthy scenes continue to appear in the game and show absolutely no sign of slowing down as I progress. All of this for a PS4 game, as hard as I tried to find something bad to say about this game, I only came up with exactly one thing. I didn't like finding a leveled enemy that could kill me in one shot in an area that I would be very unlikely to come back to later. Ultimately, it was possible to kill him without taking that one hit of damage, so it wasn't that bad, but it still only served to annoy me rather than add to my fun. But yeah, that's it. That is the one thing I can say I did not like, and it's not even something everyone will agree is a bad thing. With master storytelling, great combat, and immersive exploration that develops the story and the lore, God of War earns a perfect 10 out of 10 from me. That means it will be nominated for the greatest game of all time. Although I can only nominate one game per franchise, so I'll talk a little bit more on that if God of War Ragnarok lives up to my expectations. For now, God of War is certainly worth the replay to remind you of a few things you may have forgotten in the past 4 years. Oh right, I almost forgot. Some of you may not have actually played God of War before. Play it.